More than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the Hive Mind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. I am your host, Mr. Daniel Martinez. Today, I have another podcast host, which I was on his podcast. Definitely go check it out. Mr. Gabe Peterson out of the Real Estate Investing Club podcast. How are you doing today?
Daniel, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. No problem. What part of the country are you from?
I am from the West Coast, Seattle.
Seattle. I have never had a chance to be in Seattle. I was like, I used to be a truck driver, and I was up by Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is not from Seattle, right?
Yeah, it's not close, but it's West Coast-ish.
But I went up to Idaho because I drove up Salt Lake into Idaho, and I remember I was like 4 or 5 hours away from Seattle, and I'm like, I've never even been in Washington before, but I'm right here.
There you go. Yeah, you must have been at the very top of Idaho then. If you go from Coeur d'Alene, which is right on the other side of the border from Idaho and Washington, that's about 5 hours, a little bit more, but around there to Seattle.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was definitely deep in Idaho, more than I remember, but it was that was many years ago when I was a truck driver.
Good times, right? Times change. That's for sure.
Times definitely do change. So one of the first things I always like asking is, how'd you end up in real estate, man? Because it's a different story for every person. And me, I kind of fell into it. Let's hear your story.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every person, I asked the same thing on my podcast, and I feel like everybody I talk to, we all have a unique story. There's no cookie cutter way to get into real estate. But so my journey kind of started when I was, I always kind of wanted to start my own business. That was just kind of in my bones. I'm kind of that kind of guy. But I didn't have anybody in my life that ran a business. I didn't have any influences that were telling me to go start a business, but I just wanted that kind of freedom. But when I graduated in 2009 from University of Washington, it was, right after the crash and the 2008 crash. And so there were 0 jobs out there. I didn't know what I was going to do. So a friend he worked at Accenture, consulting firm. And so he said it was fun. And so I joined him, but I kept searching for ways to get out of the corporate life. I really didn't like working in corporate. And I started tons of different things. I started an e-commerce business. I started a t-shirt business. I did digital marketing, all these different things, until how did I actually get into that? I think I listened to a bunch of podcasts and real estate kept popping up. And so in 2014, I bought a triplex with a friend of mine. And we didn't really have a grand plan on becoming, investors. He's actually not in real estate anymore, but we didn't have this grand plan, but we bought this triplex. It seemed at the time, actually, we didn't do great underwriting it at all. I'm glad it worked out because it could have not worked out. But we bought this triplex. We fixed it up. It was just a piece of it was a piece of work. One of the tenants was a legitimate hoarder. Wall to ceiling or floor to ceiling, they were just junk.
Oh man,
she wasn't paying rent, so we had to evict her. She left all her stuff, and so we literally filled up, I think it was 3 it's 20-yard containers of just garbage. And then the other tenant was growing weed, and so their electric bill was $600 a month. It was absurd, and we were on the hook when we bought it for the bill. And so we had to evict him. And then the third person was good. They stayed. But, we went through this whole thing of flipping all these units. And this was 2014. So we were both young in our early 20s. And it was just a shit show. But we ended up making, I think it was $86,000 from that flip, which is the most money I'd ever seen in a single check. And so it kind of like turned on the light bulb. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. They might work. But it didn't take, it took me years after that. It was always kind of a side thing that I was doing. I was doing like wholesales. I did a couple more flips. But it took me until 2019, 2020, until I actually turned my full attention onto real estate, left corporate, and went all in for real estate.
What was your corporate job exactly?
So it was a consulting company, and we did project management, business analysis, and process improvement. And I'd say most of what I did was project management. Sometimes I like the roles that I really liked were the business analysis, data intelligence roles. And so I went to Microsoft and I got to dig into a bunch of their data and come up with, solutions from that. That was fun. I liked the data aspect of it. Which kind of correlates well to real estate because, there's so many Excels involved in underwriting. But I like that. But everything else, it was mostly project management. And that, I didn't have a ton of fun doing that just because I didn't have a lot of project management. When I'm project managing my own, construction projects here in my business, it's fine because I can make all decisions. But when you don't have the authority to make a decision on a budget, on anything, and you just have to bring in all of these different voices, all these decision makers, then it just becomes, it's like herding cats is what they used to call it. So I did mostly that.
You said herding cats. That's always like the downside to like corporate is just like everybody, you have like 10 people to agree on one thing and like nobody wants to agree, and you're like, what about
so many
this?
stakeholders.
Yeah, everybody's opinion matters all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's funny, man. One of the funny somebody asked me earlier today. They're like, oh, so like being an employee, you gotta like sometimes take on leadership roles, and I'm like when I was an employee, I didn't want to take on any leadership roles because I didn't want that responsibility.
Yeah.
It was just nonsense. Like I
Yep.
saw corporate nonsense is ridiculous, and I didn't want to participate.
Yeah. The core, I don't want to trash anybody in corporate. It's, I feel like every person definitely has a personality that's fit for a specific type of job. And my personality just did not fit in corporate. I couldn't swing it. So, but I'm thankful that, we have people that make us things like, like Windows and all the different corporate products out there. So thank you guys for doing the work.
Yeah. I'm glad there's corporate out there that gets along.
Yeah, exactly.
Not my business though.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. Your first flip, I think it's funny because did you trash it out yourselves or did you hire somebody?
No, we did the work like that. In fact, the first two flips I did almost all of the work. I remember the second flip I did, it was we had to take this thing, we had to actually elevate the flooring because it was it had a grade to it. We didn't do that, but I was doing all the work on the inside. Like me and a buddy, we bought this house and we were laying the flooring. This is the thing that I remember the most is I was doing tiling. And if you're not a contractor, I never recommend doing your own work because I distinctly remember taking this other contractor through. I think he was the electrician, and we were walking him through, and he was looking at the floors. He was like, "Man, who did you hire for this flooring? They did a horrible job." And I was like, "Oh God, that's me." Luckily, we still sold that house, but it was after that I was like, "Yeah, I can't do this work anymore."
Yeah, it's when you're first starting out, you got to do like things you don't want to do. And my first house I contracted, I trashed out the same thing. I had like, hey, you want to help me out? we got a trash job. We need I need another hand.
Yeah, man,
we filled up one dumpster, so I can't even imagine three on your first flip. That's funny.
Yeah, it is work.
It's like it's crazy how people live, and no offense to people out there that live like this, but it's crazy how people live because there's people out there that deal with this on a daily basis. And like, um, if you're in real estate, you're gonna come across some hoarders. You're gonna come across some hoarder houses. You're gonna come across some abandoned cars and boats in the yard. You're gonna come across it. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yep. Well,
Guns in
those are the houses that actually are good deals, the ones that are pieces of shit. And so that's, I feel like, especially if you're flipping houses, those are the ones that you're going to come across more often than the nice houses that are good for the market.
It's where the gems are. It's where the money is. Where the money
Yeah.
is where people don't like doing it. So, it's very interesting. So, early on in career, it gives me to definitely getting it done yourself. What exactly do you do now, as far as in the real estate space? Now that you said you started in 2020, what does your real estate investing career look like right now?
Yeah, so I transitioned full time to commercial space. We own 2 mobile home RV parks and then 6 self storage facilities. I'm really focusing in on self storage right now. We're just closing on another one out in Oklahoma. And so yeah, I really like self storage. But now that I've been in commercial for a couple years now, and there are so many different opportunities out there. I really do want to focus in, and so I like self storage, but I keep thinking about strip center retail and industrial, and so I've had my eyes open for one of those in my area that I can get my hands on.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I like storage. Storage is definitely a unique opportunity there. Are all your units locally? I know you said you get picked up one in Oklahoma. Are they all like in different states?
Only 2 are here in Washington. Everything else is let's see. There's a few in Texas, and then Arkansas and Indiana,
Um,
and Oklahoma soon.
do you have staff on those? Are they big enough to have staff, like a on-person staff for those?
All okay. Both of the mobile home RV parks have a on-site property manager. One of the self-storage facilities has on-site help, and the other ones are remotely managed.
Yeah, yeah, because I know with technology, it's been able to remotely manage a lot of stuff like that. That's why I'm like, are those different sizes? That why they're smaller, they're remotely managed, or you hit a certain size, you have an on-site person. So what's that parameter look like on your side?
Yeah. So I mean, it varies because if you have a 50,000 square foot self storage facility here, downtown Austin or downtown Seattle, it's going to be making a lot more money than a 50,000 square foot facility in the middle of fucking Midland or some little
100%.
dot of a city out there. And I apologize for swearing. I tend to do that sometimes, but
That
um,
happens.
uh, so yeah, it really depends on the facility itself. 50,000, you can get 30,000 and above has the potential to allow for on-site management. Under that, it's cutting it way too close.
It takes away from your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are tools and like resources you use to self manage remotely through automation?
So there are some specific pillars, and I've learned this the hard way, buying self-storage facilities, that you need in order to really remotely manage. One of them obviously is a fence, and this is something that I did not have at a couple of facilities, and I've learned that homeless people really like self-storage facilities. They can rent a unit from you like a normal person, and then they can live in that unit. And then they can have all their other homeless buddies come in there and trash it out. And so you got to watch out for that. Um, and the biggest thing when it comes to vandalism is just having a fence around it and a gate. So the first step of the automation process, you get your fence in, you get your gate in, and then you connect that gate to an automated system, your CRM system. We use Easy Storage Solutions. So what that does is it automatically prevents people from entering the property if they are delinquent on their account. So a lot of people, they'll rent a unit from you. They stop paying, but they still are using. They'll still be storing their stuff there, and it takes a while for you to get through the auction process, the eviction process, all stuff like that. So, if you have this automatic gate, the second they are delinquent on their account, their code no longer works, and so now they're like, "Crap! Now I need to pay in order to get my stuff out." So automatic gate is a big one. Outside of that, you need your security cameras, and those ones. There's a few things. If you're managing remotely, I've heard of this being done, but I haven't done it myself. I've thought about doing it at a few facilities, but you can get security companies to remotely watch essentially the security cameras, and then call the cops when somebody's breaking into the property. And then there are things like DaVinci locks, which you can use to lock out all of the non-used units. There's other things that people do, like they do digital locks on the individual doors. It's kind of expensive, and it's not worth it unless your facility is giant. And so really just your CRM system, we use these storage solutions, the automatic gate, and then security cameras. That's the basis of having an automated facility.
Automated facility. No, I know technology has like made things a lot easier, and there's been a lot of like updates and upgrades into certain niches. So I knew there was something out there that was there for storage. I just haven't heard of it, and I've never even heard of a DaVinci lock before. This is where like I know it's really important to like lock your empty units because people might throw overflow, or you might get random strangers in there one day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, one of our facilities just had a hell of a time with vandalism until we got the gate and the fence in there. But yeah, it's there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. The ESS, the Easy Storage Solution platform, the management software that we use is really good. And some guys that do it. I buy facilities from guys that use Excel and just pen and paper, and it's just like, how do you run this business? It's just crazy.
Yeah, for everybody out here, a CRM will help you save your business. It's a special tool in your industry if you're trying to grow your business. It really is. That's an easy no-brainer. But I didn't know those like integrated with your processor. That's cool though. Definitely interesting technology. So let's talk about like your larger units that have on-site staff. I've heard of other people like working at like discounts where they might have like an RV park, like you might have an RV on site that they might get for free or something. Do you have like your on-site people like that for your like RV park and your storage, or is something similar? They might have a unit on there that you give for free or something. And then
we always give for both asset classes, we give a unit for free. And so storage, they'll get a storage unit that they can use free. And for RV, they can either have a site that they get rent free, or they can we have actually an apartment on site that they rent out, and that's what she chose to do, is rent out that on-site apartment.
So you give them like a flat pay and the ability to use that, so it's like a bonus. Like you said, they get to rent it out and they get that bonus on side.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I've known people with like I said, they're really, they got to get creative sometimes with like these rural locations.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, is finding good help. And I know it's kind of universal, is finding somebody that is reliable and trustworthy to help you out. But I feel like, especially in rural areas, it's just really hard to find somebody that you can rely on to do the work.
I think one of the biggest things that's underrated is like staying away from cash, because that's going to help you from not getting stolen from, and it helps you keep your accounting and orders in order, that you know who's delinquent and who's not. I think just going digital that way, because I'm sure these mom and pops have spreadsheets, they take cash, and there's a money drop off box with a envelope. Like
we when we bought our Indiana facility, we actually lost probably about 15% of our customer base that were currently renting out units because we completely cut off cash payments, and we said you don't have the option to pay in cash anymore. You have to pay online. So probably about 10 to 15% of them left the facility because of that. But it makes running the facility so much easier if everything's cash, because most are going to put it on auto pay, and so you don't have to like be chasing these people down for their payments.
Yeah.
And yeah, online payments is it's so much easier.
It's a necessity. Do you self-manage, or do you have managers in place like to help? Like, I'm sure you do, but you said you have on-site managers, but do you have like self-management on the back end, like overview side of it?
Yeah, I use third-party property management.
Third-party property management. Okay, so you're passive in this, pretty much.
More or less. I mean, nothing's truly passive, I feel like.
No, 100%.
But it's I'm not taking the calls when it comes to people calling in to rent a unit. But there's a lot of options for that. You don't need to use third party. Like ESS, Storage Solutions, they have a call center that you can use essentially, and they'll take the calls, they'll rent the units out, all that stuff, and then you just do the back end. And that's relatively inexpensive. I don't remember how much it is, but I think it's like a couple dollars per door or something like that. So it's cheap. Or you can do it 100% yourself. I definitely would not recommend that. I think in the past like week we've had, I don't know, 300 calls or something like that, and so it's not something you want to take on.
I am not an answering service.
Yeah.
No, I think it's cool. There's a lot of resources out there to go into this commercial space. Now, are you a long-term holder for these commercial units, or are you have like a 5-year exit plan and recycle, repeat, rinse, repeat?
Yeah, I've always wanted to just buy and hold. I'm actually selling 2 of the smaller facilities I have, because as you get farther into real estate, you realize you learn more, you evolve, you get better at what you're doing, you figure out more efficient ways to grow your portfolio. And I am doubling down on certain metros. So any metro that I only have one facility in that's too small, I don't want to own that. And so, sorry, what was the original question?
It's
I feel like I went off on a tangent there.
if you're holding or selling, but I think you're focusing on certain markets that you like based off of returns and vacancies and all that stuff that you've seen now that you hold property in that asset in that area.
Yeah. So the goal is to long-term, own these facilities, hold them, but we're selling off the ones that don't really fit into our strategy, our overall goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and you learn the small assets you might get a better cap rate aren't necessarily always the best deals, and
Yeah,
exactly. The market's gonna really help you out. And if you have 2 neighboring or in the same vicinity, you can build yourself as a local brand in that area and build more credibility with people that are looking for storage. So I understand it. And you build that conglomerate where you can turn into the next U-Haul storage, whatever, where they're on every other corner.
Public Storage owns so much real estate out there. It's just absurd. Considering that they got started way back when, I could only imagine how the profit that they spit out every month. Because man, their facilities have to be paid off, and so they're probably running at like 25% OPEX, and everything else is just like cash just spitting out into the world there.
But that shows the investing game is a long-term play. I think everybody underestimates that. Like 5 years isn't really that long time when it comes into investing. Like you might get see great returns, but you really get your stride the longer you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
The stride really kicks in, and you're like, man, this is turning out pretty nice 10 years later.
You just got to keep going.
Yeah, it's definitely huge. I talked to an investor out of Atlanta, and he's like in his 70s, and he's like, I love this game.
That's awesome.
And it's something you can do till you die, because it doesn't take intensive work. If you underwrite a deal today, it's not really going to change in the future. The money might be worth a little bit less, but you increase your rents,
Yeah. I really do see myself doing this for, until I die, because it's not super taxing in terms of like, it's not extra stressful. It's not physically taxing at all, obviously.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.onelistguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
And it's a very relationship oriented business. All businesses relationship oriented, but I feel like real estate's a little bit more so. And so it's just a lot of fun. I love doing it.
Is your plan to like pass it down to your kids, or are you planning to like build up enough units and sell that to public storage?
I don't know. The original plan was just to make enough to where I didn't have to work, or I didn't have to work. I could choose whether I wanted to do that. And now I don't really have a grand plan. I'm just kind of working.
We'll figure it out when we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you had any like issues come up with like RV parks with certain areas?
Yeah, RV parks for sure. They can be a headache, especially if you don't have a good property manager. Just the drama that goes on in a mobile home RV park, it can be a lot. And so the plus side, I guess you can split them into 2 different assets. You're talking RV parks, and there's the hybrid, which is kind of a long-term stay RV park, which operates more like a mobile home park, but people can still move their units very quickly. And then there's mobile home parks, and they have so low turnover. It's like 5%. And so mobile home parks are a bit different. If it's 100% mobile home, they're a little bit easier, and RV parks are a little harder because the turnover is higher. What we own is it has mobile home units, and it also has RV. We operate them all like long-term stay, and so the minimum requirement that we have is 3 months. If you rent for less than 3 months, then we essentially double the price. It's like we make it so you really do not want to do a short-term stay at our park. And so they operate like mobile home parks, but with RV, even long-term stay RV parks, there's a lot more turnover. And it can be a bit of a headache. And so I would not recommend someone to start there in RV parks. I've never done multifamily, besides, small duplexes, triplexes.
Yeah.
But I would suspect it would be a little bit easier than RVs. And so I would probably push somebody to go that route. But with that said, I mean, there's a lot you can do, especially with true RV parks, with ones that people are coming there for vacation. There's a lot of fun things you can do. There's a lot of different, revenue streams that you can make. So yeah.
I've heard of that. So recently I went on vacation a few months ago, and we ended up going to like an RV park and had like mini cabins, a pool, arcade, washer dryer. There's one little group showers, and then it had mobile homes in the back, and then it had the RVs. And it was a hybrid mixed everything. And I'm like, this is interesting. Like whenever I go to places like that, I'm always like counting the revenue sources, because they had a golf cart rental. They had like in the winter, I think they had snowmobiles over there too, because we're in the mountains. So like it's just like all these little added little boosted revenues. They had like a parking spot revenue. I'm like, what in the world? I'm just like, I'm literally walking into this thing. I've never been to one before, because I don't know what to expect. And I'm looking like, hey, that's a revenue stream. I don't know how much that makes. I'm like, I'm counting dollars.
A lot of those funky ones are they're all owned and operated by the owner. Like the owner lives at the park, and they run all these tiny little businesses. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just so much work. It's like, how do you do that? It's a lot. Camp. Exactly, yeah.
It's like summer camp because they had like play at the child area, and they had a ice cream truck out there selling food and ice creams. I'm like, this is out of hand. Like literally, it was like you can go to the RV park and never leave because they have the pool and story time at the under the tree, and I'm like, what in the world? It was interesting. It was a sight to see because I've never seen one firsthand. I've only heard of those on like Facebook and Twitter and Reddit. You only hear those stories, and you kind of experience one. I'm like, I don't think I want to be in that business.
Yeah, it's it would be rough for sure.
Would all that count towards the NOI technically because it's all income produced from the RV park, or will
Yeah,
they?
and that's the thing when you buy RV parks is you got to watch out how they're doing their accounting because especially even with mobile home parks, there's park owned homes and there's tenant owned homes. And so a
Yeah.
lot of mobile home parks, what they'll do is they'll rent out their park owned homes, the homes that they own themselves at an inflated rate. Say the pad rate's 400, they rent out the park owned home for 800, but they account for all of that in their capitalization and their cap rate. And so their cap rate looks like it's a 12 cap, but you can't capitalize the revenue that you're generating from the home itself because it's a depreciating asset. The mobile homes are not, they're not appreciating.
Ooh.
And so it makes it look like the cap rate's super high, but in reality, you're only supposed to be taking just the pad rent. So that if they're all park owned homes, then essentially they're doubling their gross revenue, and capitalizing all of that. And you could be buying like a 3 cap on the pad rent, and it looks like it's a 9 cap when you're looking at the park owned home rent. So you really got to watch out for stuff like that. RV parks are the same. Like they have different revenue streams. You never know where things are coming. Just make sure that you're only underwriting or your base underwriting is accounting just for the pad rent itself and nothing else.
That was a good gem for everybody here. That was a great gem.
Yeah.
So where does that quantify into the purchase of the property, or it doesn't? You give them like some basis.
Yeah, so you can't. A lot of people will do a gross rent multiplier for like if you're talking about park on home rent. So that they'll capitalize the base income from the pad rent, and then they'll do a gross rent multiplier for everything on top of that. It's a lot less than if you were to apply it like an
Yeah.
A cap on a certain amount of NOI. But it adds up, and so you can still give value for that income. You're not just saying this is not worth anything, but
Yeah.
you're not adding that into the
multiplier.
capitalization. Yeah, exactly.
That multiplier is a multiplier in the NOI can really
Yeah, it can get crazy.
it can get crazy. Are the units you're looking for like B or C's? Are you positioning to A's, or what type of class are all these different properties, or they're all mixed?
Yeah, they're all mixed.
You're just looking for good
Nothing's A. There, I never bought an A class. A's trade for really low cap rates, and there's no value add, and so I've never really done that. But yeah, some of them are C's, but we fixed them up, so they're probably B minuses now. I'm not gonna oversell my properties, but the self storage, they're good quality storages, but they're just small. And A class storages usually have, they're climate controlled. They have on site. Yeah, exactly. And
They'll have
so,
a loading bay with
man, I went to a self storage near me out here, and the technology they use is just nuts. Like everything, every door had it's an app that you open it with. And so, or my girlfriend went to this, and it's just, once you get to those really, A class facilities, you can tell like this is a different level, but you're going to pay for it because it's double the rental rate that I'm going to be charging you.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy because like, and this is where like you find it's all about finding a good deal, whether it's not necessarily the better the A class, like you said, you'll deal with low cap rates, and that's annoying.
Yeah.
I got sent a deal. My partner sent me a deal. Like, is this a good deal? And I'm like, yeah. There's no value add. It's a great deal. I'm like,
I mean, it's a good deal if you're super rich and you just want to like plop your money down somewhere.
Yeah, if you just want an ROI, I mean, I can do that.
Yeah.
That's type of investing we don't like. We like value adds, the opportunity to create income and increase your NOI to make it more valuable. That's the whole point.
Exactly. Yep.
We don't do this for fun.
There will be a day when I'm just investing in triple net, commercial properties, and it's just
right.
Yeah, that would be great, but not yet.
Yeah, the triple nets. Everyone doesn't know what triple nets are. Go look them up. They're amazing. Definitely for the sleepy investor that doesn't want to do anything.
Yep, exactly.
What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
Ooh, man, I'm gonna butcher this, so I can't really say it. But my favorite quote was, I'm trying to like bring it up to mind. I'm not gonna be able to do it. It's the, I think it's fuck, man, putting me on the spot now. I completely forgot. One of the guys in World War, I think it was Winston Churchill. He was talking about like it's not the favorite quote. You'd think I know this, right? I'm actually pulling up a thing here right now. It's not the what is it? Man, I'm ruining this answer because I don't remember. It's not like the credit belongs to the man who's in the arena. There's a specific thing. There's a my mind is totally blank. I don't have an answer, but it's Winston Churchill or something like that out in World War II. Basically saying the person who's actually out there getting shit done is the one that matters. It's not the person who's standing on the sidelines telling them they're doing a bad job.
So I can find it real quick. The ability to work hard to show people how it's done. I don't know. That was the first one that popped up.
It's called The Man in the Arena quote. There we go. And it is by Theodore Roosevelt. Man, not Winston Churchill. Sorry, Roosevelt.
All right, let's start this off. Is there a quote that you resonate with?
Yeah, right. It's called "The Man in the Arena." It's a great quote. I'm just going to read one line. It says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done it better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming." Keeps going on, but that's the gist of it. Just that you should be out there getting things done. Don't worry about getting hit in the face.
For everybody here, that did not take 5 minutes to find. He found it right away. He knew exactly what it was, and it was not.
Exactly.
No, it's funny. I'm not gonna edit. I'm gonna leave it there too. So for everybody here, that it was flat out. That was the answer. That was unscripted. I don't even blame you. That was a difficult quote.
Well, I used to really like that quote, and I'd be able to kind of come up with it off the top of my head, but I haven't done that in like years, and so
I got you. Yeah. I got you. See, I like springing that question on guests because it's funny.
Because they're always stumbling to try to come up with their words.
It's 100%, and I bring it up because like it's some people are ready for it and other people aren't, and then it's kind of funny seeing people stumble. But not everybody does. But it's always interesting because, like I said, some people always have a simple one ready to go, like da 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 da, and it just rolls off their tongue.
Well, that was in the future, I'm going to be ready. If you ever ask me that again, I'll have it, ready to pull out.
Okay, awesome. That's funny, man. The Real Estate Investing Club podcast. Let's talk a little bit about that. When did you start that?
That was a product of COVID. I was doing a lot of networking before COVID. Going to like RIAs, meetup groups, and COVID hit and kind of shut all of that off. And so I wanted to keep talking with other investors, and the podcast just kind of came about. It was just such a random thing. Like I was sitting at my old house, and I just thought, shoot, I'll try a podcast, or I just wanted to do one recording. So I just like sent somebody an email or a message on LinkedIn and said, do you want to be recorded for a podcast? And I just randomly came up with the Real Estate Investing Club as a name. They said yes, and then just kind of snowballed.
I think you're as crazy as I am, because he has like 279 episodes recorded to date, and the only person I know that's crazier than me is me. So you're up there. You're up there with the crazy people like me.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's a lot
at
of
the
work.
beginning. It's a lot of work. Once you get kind of the system set up, it's a lot easier. And I used to do. I actually tried when I first got started. I had 2 podcasts. One was called Pursuing Greatness, because I was doing a lot of podcasts with real estate investors, and I liked that, but I wanted to talk about other things, and so I started doing Pursuing Greatness, this other podcast, and it just to talk with anybody about anything that had to deal with living a good life. And so during that time, I was doing, I think, 2 episodes a day. Right at the beginning of COVID, I didn't really have much to do. And obviously I was focusing all of my effort on this podcast, and that took a lot of time. But since then I've cut it down. I only do it on Fridays. I do 3 episodes every Friday, and that's it.
Yeah. It's definitely hard, but once you get streamlined, it's you kind of get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
I am definitely in a rhythm right now.
Yeah.
I am cranking stuff out, and I am in a rhythm. I have editors that go editing crazy, and I'm like, I have 2 editors because I'm like, I will keep them busy. And it's kind of fun keeping them busy because I can see what they're working on, and I'm like, I try not to like be like put too much pressure on them, because I know it's a lot of work, and it's just.
How do you project manage that work? Do you just kind of have like a Monday or something like that you just kind of put a project out there and let them go?
I have a spreadsheet. That they're
right.
Whenever
no shade. I will never throw shade on Excel. I love Excel.
No, it's a Google sheet. It's a shared Google sheet that has. I title it. Once I record, I title it. I upload it to the shared file. They'll go pull it, share it, and then they'll pull short form out of it. So whenever they're never not editing long form, they're editing short form. So they're always editing. Like it's a full-time job, and I got 2 of them. So it's a full-time job. Like right now, this week was crazy because I probably had. I'm not at today. After today, I'll probably record like 9 episodes this week.
Okay. Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot this week. And I think I have more. I'm recording Thursday. So I might record like 13, 14 episodes this week.
Jeez, that's a lot.
It's a lot. And I'm pretty streamlined. Like I have everything scheduled out. I have I have a co-host producing one this week, so I'm not even going to be in that one. I'm excited about that one. Yeah.
No presents.
Podcast I don't have to produce is always amazing. It's always nice. I'll just edit it. All I have to do is make sure they hit record and hit stop, and then I'll send it to the editors, and that's my job on that one.
That's
I'm kind of excited about that one, because it's been a while since I've done a podcast that I haven't had to do myself.
So why did I'm going to turn this back on you? Why did you start podcasting?
And I would say all of it's through the podcast. So I think one of it is selfish knowledge, because I get to interview cool people. And number 2 I like is SEO, because my name is Daniel Martinez, and there's a lot of Martinez's out there, especially Daniel Martinez.
Yes, I was going to say, that combination of names is very, I feel like I've seen a lot of, growing up in my high school, there were some Daniel Martinez's, so it's out there.
It's crazy. So this is why in all my videos, I am Daniel Esteban Martinez, because I already got that down. So
there you go.
If you want to find me, you can go to Daniel Esteban Martinez or Daniel Hive Mind, like it says right here, and you'll find me, because you put Daniel Hive Mind, I come up every time because I've worked on the SEO. So it took a lot of work, and it took a lot of. See, here's the other thing. There's a bicyclist named Daniel Martinez who I'm trying to knock him down. I have his number, and I'm trying to knock him down.
That's funny.
On Google. He's looking it up right now. Look at him.
I am. Daniel Martinez. All right. A Colombian professional road racing cyclist.
See,
Coming for you, Daniel.
see who have to fight. See, I have to fight the Colombian bicyclist.
That's funny.
So, and he gets on the news, and I'm like, man, it's an uphill battle, but I'm coming for him. So whenever I take over the bicyclist, I'm gonna be like,
mission accomplished.
mission accomplished. He may retire soon. Who knows? And we'll never see him on an article ever again. But it's the podcast is fun, man. I enjoy having these conversations, and you don't know what you're gonna learn. Like I always like think about this. Like if I can learn one thing from that whole conversation that makes it worthwhile, that's it, man. That's it. And you as a listener might learn a few things, but me as a host and producer, I just want to learn one thing. I just want to learn one thing from every guest. And usually that takes that it like snowballs into some giant thing that who knows what will turn down in the future. And it all came from podcasting. And the reason why I like podcasting is the amplification of it. We can me and Gabe here dedicated 45 minutes right now on this episode, but now it can be infinitely stretched and listened to over and over again for infinity, and that's the beauty of this.
Yep. Yeah, it is. There's quite a few benefits to podcasting, both as a host and a guest. I think my favorite. I mean, so much that I've learned from all my guests. It's pretty crazy, and it also helps me kind of center myself in the job, in the goal, because a lot of times, as an investor myself, I work remotely. I don't go into an office with people all around me doing the same job. And so doing the podcast, talking with other people who are doing real estate, who are active in real estate, it kind of helps me center myself in the community. And so, yeah, I really like it.
What has been your biggest benefit from the podcast?
Oh, I mean, there's tons. There's the accumulation of knowledge over time. One of the properties I bought with one of the guests on my podcast, he's a JV partner.
Awesome.
I'm doing a syndication right now, and we're raising the money through the podcast. Tons of stuff. It's podcasts. If anybody has the inclination to do it, I would definitely recommend it. If it's not your jam, don't do it. Obviously, you got to sit and talk to people. But if you like that, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the deal being created, even a JV partner, because I always because I have a CRM, and I always convince hey, hop on the podcast, you'll see what happens. And I'm like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen where you're going to get a deal from this, and thank me later. And it happens every single time, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, things, especially in real estate, I feel like things just come out of the woodwork. It's never what you're expecting. It's just like a deal will come from here, a connection will come from here, and it just kind of all coalesces into a good deal. Yeah, so you never know what you're doing will lead to the result that you're looking for.
I had a client. He was contacting a seller, and the seller actually found his video of us on our podcast and ended up getting the deal. He made like $60,000. So like that's the type of stuff that happens. Like once you're out there, and anybody can find you, but it benefits you because it provides credibility.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's kind of cool. So if you're out there, go start something. Be a creator, not a consumer.
There you go.
Where can people find you online, Gabe? I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. This has been an eye-opening episode for me, and I learned definitely one thing. So that's my goal. So where can people find you online, and tell us about your podcast, where people can find your podcast.
Yeah, the best place is the website, podcast website. It's the realestateinvestingclub.com. Pretty easy. So the real estate investing with an ing club.com. The podcast is about real estate. I do commercials, so I focus a lot in on that. Daniel came on, talked about land investing, talked about software, creating a software earlier on. And so, a lot of good guests. We have a lot of fun there. But yeah, if you want to email me, it's just gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go like, subscribe. Go leave him a review. He's on this side. Go like, subscribe, leave a review. Go share it with a friend. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you for your time, Gabe. You have a great day. Thanks for watching this YouTube video. We hope you found value. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Watch more videos just like this one.